Well, I want to talk about when your spouse won't have sex with you. And I want to begin by saying marriage is a covenant. Now, the word covenant means to cut. God cut Adam when he created marriage and created Eve. So the word covenant means a sacrificial, permanent relationship. That when God creates a relationship, it's a covenant. Jesus said, "This is the new covenant in my blood." Okay. And every time God creates a covenant, there's a covenant seal and a covenant sign. The example of that is the new covenant, salvation that we have with Jesus. The covenant seal is water baptism. The covenant sign is communion. In other words, seal means seal the deal. Jesus said, "He who believes and is baptized will be saved." So in other words, you believe and you seal it through water baptism. Okay. The communion, every time you take communion, it means, "Lord, I remember." This is a sign of good faith. Well, why am I saying all this? Because sex is the covenant seal and sign of marriage. When you get married, you consummate your marriage by having sex. See, we've trivialized sex in our society, and we've decontextualized sex from marriage. But sex only has a context in marriage biblically, the way God sees it. Look at all the problems we're having today because we have decontextualized it. So when we get married, sex seals the covenant of our marriage. But it's also a covenant sign, which means when we're having sex, what I'm saying is, I remember the commitment that I made to you. In other words, I'm not having sex with you just because I feel good right now, or even because I feel sexual right now. I'm having sex because I committed to love and cherish you until death separated us. This is not a relationship of convenience. This is a sacrificial, permanent relationship, and I am going to bear the covenant sign before you as I promised that I would. So when a spouse says, or just will not have sex with another person, it's devastating. And now there's some marriages where, both spouses agree and they just don't have sex. Okay, so you can have a good marriage, especially as you age, you can have a good marriage without having sex. But, when one person wants sex and the other person will not give them sex, it's devastating to the relationship. And my encouragement, if you have a spouse that, isn't giving you sex, you need to get counseling. I would immediately get counseling and get your spouse to get counseling. Now, your spouse may say, "Well, I don't feel well physically." Well, God made our bodies to where we can have orgasms without having intercourse. So even if a man has, erectile dysfunction, or a woman has some kind of vaginal dryness or problems or something like that, there are many ways to be sexual without having intercourse. And so, the Christopher Reeve, who is Superman, who broke his neck and became a quadriplegic, he had sex with his wife. They talked about it on national television, about they still had a sexual relationship, and he was paralyzed from the neck down. And what it meant was he had an attitude of serving his wife and being sexual to her, even in his condition. I'm just saying, if he could have sex, anybody can have sex, isn't it? It's a matter of your attitude. So if your spouse just simply says, "I won't have sex with you," you need to get counseling. If they have medical problems, they need to get help. But even if they're not able to completely resolve their medical problems, you can still please your spouse, even if you can't be sexual. It's just a matter of your attitude. It's a matter if you're going to bear the covenant that you said that you would bear. And see, most people don't know that sex is the covenant seal and sign of marriage. But I'm saying this, when you're having sex regularly in marriage, it improves the marriage. And it says something to your spouse. It says, "I'm attracted to you." It says, "I desire you." That I'm going to serve you. When you're not having sex with your spouse, you're saying one of these things: "I'm angry. I'm going to punish you. I'm not attracted to you. I don't feel like it. This is a relationship of convenience, and I'm not going to do anything that I don't feel like. I've got some medical problems, and you're not important enough for me to address it. Or I've got medical problems I can't resolve, and I'm not going to be creative just to please you. You're not that important to me." Any way you slice it, it's devastating. Okay, it's devastating. So you need to get help. You need to get counseling. Go outside of your marriage, even if your spouse won't. You need to get help. Ultimately, if you're in a marriage, I had a man that I counseled, and he was in his early 40s, very healthy man, loved his wife, and his wife came up to him and she said, I'm not having sex with you again, don't ask. And he came to me and said, what do I do? And I said, get help now. You get help right now. And I want to say this now. Again, it is the covenant, it's the basis of your covenant. Sex is the basis of your covenant. Okay? And when you have a person that says, I'm out, I check out, I'm not having sex with you, I would separate. If they will not resolve the issue, I would separate from them. And you find a place, or they find a place, and you say, well, you've basically ended our marriage. All we have now is a financial relationship or a relationship around the kids or whatever. So if you're refusing to have sex with me and you will not resolve the issue on some level, I'm going to separate. I'm not divorcing you, but I'm separating. What I'm saying is, I'm not going to give you the benefits of washing your clothes and, taking care of you or whatever, if you're not going to give me the benefit of sex, because it is the essence of our relationship. If you're checking out on me, I'm not going to act like there's not a problem, and I'm not going to sentence myself to a sexless future because you won't have sex. Okay? Separate, pray, be accountable to someone, a spiritual leader or someone. Don't just do all this on your own. And take a period of time. Don't just do this in a few weeks. Wait, a year or whatever. And I know that sounds like a long time, but you need to wait on God. And you need to be healthy before you go on with your life. But ultimately, if a person refuses to have sex with you, it is a basis of separation and ultimately divorce. It's not what you want. You want to resolve this without that. But it's devastating. It's devastating to the essence of the marriage. And so that's my encouragement to you if you're in a sexless marriage.